Do certain sounds drive you completely crazy? Well, you're not crazy, and there's a name for it, and we're going to talk all about it. Stay tuned. That's what's up next. Hi, my name is Natasha Daniels. I'm a child therapist, and I make videos for kids with anxiety and OCD. Today, I want to talk to you all about irritating sounds. Do sounds make you super angry? Do they irritate you to the point where you have to leave the room? Or you feel really, really upset and hostile towards the person making that noise and you don't even understand why? Well, for those of us that have this condition, it's more than just an irritation. It's more than just an annoyance. It is a true physiological condition, and it's called misophonia. And it's becoming more known, but a lot of people still don't understand it. And that's what this video is all about. Misophonia is about how we process sound and how it hits our limbic system. And so for some of us, there are certain trigger sounds that impact our limbic system in a way that creates discomfort, panic, anxiety, and anger. And if you have this, you're like, yes, that's exactly how I feel. So you're not going crazy or you're not being difficult because certain sounds make you want to jump out of your skin. It's just that that's how it's processing in your brain. So what do you do about this? Let's talk about that. Unfortunately, we are in the early days of understanding this condition and of what treatment options are actually going to be effective. So far, research hasn't shown that many treatment options are very effective. And in the interim, you have to learn how to deal and how to cope. And that's a key part of dealing with misophonia, is knowing what your trigger sounds are and learning how to prevent being overwhelmed by those sounds before you get to that point where you're here. So what are your trigger sounds? Now, for a lot of us who have this, myself included, there are some really common sounds that tend to be upsetting. And those have to do with mouth sounds. So anything having to do with the mouth, especially eating with your mouth open, making any sound, gulping, any wet sounds having to do with the mouth, sometimes kissing, can be very triggering for a lot of us with misophonia. Also, clicking sounds can be triggering. So keyboard sounds, tapping sounds, game controller sounds, those can be irritating. Sounds having to do with water dropping, those can be upsetting. And people with misophonia can have different sounds that are triggering that other people don't have. So they may be unique to you. So you want to tap into what are the sounds that make you want to rage. A lot of times we can beat ourselves up about this because I know I could be sitting there and get really angry at a family member that I love because they're making one of these sounds. And it's not your fault, it's not my fault, it's hitting my limbic system and it's creating a rage response that I can't control. So the only way to control that is to remove the sound, either find a barrier to the sound, block it in my ear, literally, or leave the room. Sometimes we want to control other people, and that's really not an effective way to try to deal with misophonia because the world is full of these obnoxious sounds that are going to irritate us. So the best way that you can learn to combat this and deal with it is to find coping mechanisms for yourself instead of trying to control your environment. So how do you do this? Well, earplugs or AirPods or headphones are all your friend. You want to find ways to block out sound. There are some earplugs called Vibes that you can get that are really, really tiny and they filter sound. And a lot of people with misophonia tend to use them because you can still hear, but they filter out some obnoxious sound. Now, they're not going to block out the sound, but when you soften the sound and you make it less deafening, it tends to not create that response as intensely. So that can be helpful. Also, when you see someone coming who you know is going to make a triggering sound, you want to either leave the area or put in your AirPods, earphones, or earplugs before the sound starts to happen. Because the longer you're exposed to the sound, the more panic, anxiety, or rage you're going to feel. So it might be helpful to strategically place earbuds or earplugs around your house. I have earplugs by my couch so that when I'm sitting there and I know someone's going to come sit next to me and they're going to drink and it's going to irritate me, it's not fair for me to turn around and tell them to stop drinking because they're not doing anything wrong. But I will put my AirPods in and then I can't hear them anymore. And then when they're done, I'll take them out. So you want to find ways to block the sound when you see it coming. If you are having a hard time at dinner, then maybe you want to talk to your mom and dad about wearing earplugs at dinner or headphones. Now, sometimes parents might feel like you're being antisocial or you're ruining family time, but this is a physiological condition. And so it's really not fair to expect you to sit there and be triggered and feel all this rage inside of you, because it creates a lot of rage where you want to attack the person making the noise. And then you feel bad because you're like, I love you. Why do I want to actually crucify you? And it's because the sound is creating rage, and the source of the sound will be the target of your rage. That's part of this struggle. So if your parents aren't educated on misophonia already, then I will leave some links below and you can share with them some information about this true condition that causes a genuine reaction from you. Because the kids that I work with in my practice, I suggest they wear headphones at dinner or they skip dinner with the family altogether. Now that might be upsetting for some parents because family time is dinner time. But for misophonia, family time and dinner time are not copacetic. They are not good friends because dinner time is incredibly triggering. So find what ways you can cope. I've had some families where they'll put a sound machine or music on, and that can help as well. Sometimes visually we can be triggered. So if we see someone with their mouth open and they're eating in front of you, that's going to be triggering because you're going to hone in on that and you're going to hear those sounds even more. Because once misophonia hones in on a sound, once it recognizes a sound, recognizes it's a trigger, it can't filter anything else out. So you hyper focus on that sound and you think, oh my gosh, if she's going to open her mouth one more time, I'm going to literally freak out, right? So you don't want to sit across from someone who tends to eat with their mouth open. So at dinner, if there are people who are less triggering, then maybe changing your seat or positioning yourself in a different way can be helpful. I have worked with some kids who were able to go to the school and have a meeting and talk about this struggle, and they were able to get permission to wear earplugs in the school environment. So when their teacher sees them popping in some earplugs, they are not going to get in trouble. Sometimes kids are worried about what this will look like, but vibes are really tiny, and if you had long hair, you wouldn't even see that you're wearing vibes. So I'll leave a link below for the vibes or for other earplug options. The key is to know that one, this is not your fault, that this is a physiological reaction. You can't control the rage that you're feeling, and it's not about the person that is causing the sound. So you don't have a problem with your relationship. I love my husband, but if he's drinking milk loudly, I want to kill him. Not literally, but I love him. And that is just a natural, knee-jerk physiological reaction that I'm having with my limbic system when I hear him swallowing. And so the key is to, one, not blame yourself and not blame your relationship with the other people around you that are triggering you. But two, you cannot control other people. And so a lot of the younger people I work with who have this condition, the first thing they want to do is make sure that everyone stops breathing, chewing, and doing anything that will trigger them. That's not realistic, and it's not going to help you long term. So you want to find out ways that you can cope yourself. And unfortunately right now, there are no treatment options that have been proven to be effective. Hopefully that will change in the future. So in the interim, you're going to want to get some blockers so that your ears don't have to be triggered. I hope this helps some of you who are like, what is going on? Why do sounds bother me more than other people? And I hope you can get some relief. Don't forget to find the sparkle in everything you do, and I will talk to you next Thursday. Take care.